If you traveled at light speed, could you see the past? Chapter 1. The rumor about light. They always tell this story in whispers, as if it were a secret smuggled along with the photons in a midnight beam. If you traveled at the speed of light, you could outrun the present and spy on the past. You could watch your childhood from across the street. You could peer back over your shoulder and see the world as it once was. It's the kind of rumor that tastes like magic on the tongue, sweet, dangerous, unforgettable, and if you're listening to this now, if you click because something in you leaned forward the way a sunflower cranes toward dawn, you've tasted it too. But rumors have shadows, and this one is long. It stretches across deserts of mathematics and cities of steel. It lengthens under the fierce white sun of Einstein's equations until it becomes less a myth and more a question, sharp as a compass needle. If you rode a beam of light, could you see the past? To answer this, I want you to picture a night road straight, black, and quiet as an unblinking eye. Above it, uncountable stars burn. Every one of those stars is not merely a point of light, but a time machine with its door always ajar. This is the first truth. Whenever you look at the universe, you are looking backward. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, shouts at us from 37 years in the past. The Andromeda Galaxy sends a postcard from more than 2 million years ago. The faint, distant glow we call the cosmic microwave background is the afterimage of the universe as a baby, a soft red-cheeked cry cradled in static. To see is to remember. Where the rumor begins to glow is here. If seeing is always seeing the past, then maybe moving faster? Maybe moving as fast as light itself lets you tip your eyes deeper into yesterday, perhaps even into your own. You can hear the temptation of it, can't you? If you could just move quickly enough, you could peel back the present like a curtain and slip into the theater where your life is playing. Let's stay on the road. The car is your thought experiment. The speedometer ticks up. 30 kilometers per hour, 50, 80. Wind combs the tall grasses, fences flicker like film frames. Now the speedometer keeps climbing, past the feel of any road you've ever known, into numbers that stop being numbers and start being prayers. Mach 1, 5% of light speed, 10, 90, 99.9. You don't lean back in your seat anymore, you lean forward into physics. The air thins not because we've climbed, but because equations have begun to crowd the cabin. A second truth arrives. There is a frontier in the universe, painted not on maps, but on limits. And one of those limits is the speed of light. If you are made of stuff, mass, and atoms, bones, and water, this is a boundary you do not cross. Not with rockets, nor with oaths, nor with desperation. As your speed grows, so does your energy. The ledger of reality is clear. To reach the speed of light would cost you infinite energy, and infinite is not a number we can pay. No engine can cash that check. No starship can mortgage that future. If you are massive, and you are light, speed is not a destination, it is a horizon. But storytelling is a legal form of trespass. We will not break the law. We will breathe so close to it that we can feel the warmth of its breath. Let's say we go very near the speed of light, so near that the difference between almost and exactly is thinner than a spider's silk. What then? Do the windows of the car become windows into yesterday? The first surprise is not outside the car but inside it, where time itself becomes pliable. Your dashboard clock, no longer a plastic circle of sticks and numbers, but a stern and ancient god, begins to run slow, compared to the clock standing still by the roadside. You feel normal. That is the third truth. For you, curled in your own traveling frame, your heartbeats still keep their same soft drumming. Your thoughts still pour at the same honeyed pace. But when you compare your time to the time of the towns you pass, to the time in the eyes of the people staring up at your streak across the sky, you have slowed. Seconds for you are longer than seconds for them. This isn't an illusion. It is a truce the universe declared a century ago. Everyone's time is their own, measured against their motion, stitched to their path. We call it time dilation, and it is both a mercy and a mystery, because it means your story can be stretched. With time dilation comes its sister, length contraction. The miles ahead of you, the space between cities, the gulf between stars, all of it shrivels along the direction of your motion like fabric dropped in water. The road contracts. The distance across the galaxy slims as if it were embarrassed to have been so large. From your seat, the impossible becomes nearly convenient. And there, right there, at the edge where coincidence becomes wonder, people often point and say, "Aha!" Then, perhaps, you could watch the past. Let's step carefully. Imagine a city set back from our night road. Houses, trees, a schoolyard, a park bench where, indulge me, a younger version of you sits eating an orange in the summer dusk. From the bench, photons jump off your old self's skin and hair, ricochet from the orange peel, skitter out from the street lamp. They fly in all directions at the speed of light. Some go skyward and will cross the empty dark for eons, never brushing a single retina. A few tumble toward where we are now, on our road of thought. But here's the key. Those photons left long ago and sped away at light speed. You are not chasing them down when you drive forward at nearly their speed. You are running alongside the ones that happen to be passing through your present. You cannot catch up to the photons that already left, for even if you could match their speed, you would match their destiny too, never getting closer or farther, never overtaking the message they carry, because you'd be moving with it, not into it. The popular fantasy is that traveling at light speed turns the world into a movie that can be rewound if you sprint hard enough. But film does not work like light, and the universe is not an old projector waiting to be fooled. You can travel across space to where ancient light is just arriving, climb a mountain so tall that last year's starlight finally meets you, sail a ship so far that dinosaurs are still walking on some distant world when their light reaches your eyes. But you cannot race behind your own photons, then look back over your shoulder and spy on your own yesterday. Your yesterday's light left you already and is gone, indifferent to your longing. Yet if you move near light speed, what you can see becomes astonishing in its own right. The star field ahead compresses into a narrowing cone. Distances forward bundle into a bright spear of sky. Photons from in front pour in faster than rain. Doppler shifted into higher energies. Orange street lamps become brittle blue. Blue becomes ultraviolet. Ultraviolet nudges toward X-rays. Behind you, the universe grows dim, light stretched, reddened, thinned. The world you leave becomes night. The world you approach becomes a storm of noon. This headlight effect is not nostalgia's loophole. It is a new weather of seeing, a way of being pelted by the future of your path. Someone will argue, at this point, that the past is still there because the universe keeps it somewhere, in some frigid vault of space-time, so surely there must be a trick. The trick we keep wanting is to make there into then. to turn distance into reversal. But the universe, reliable as a metronome, gently refuses. You can swap space for time within limits, that's true. Drift close to a black hole, and your time slows enough that the far future elsewhere laps you like a runner on a track. But you cannot trade velocity for yesterday. Velocity alters your story. It does not undo the pages already written. Still, let's not let go of the rumor too quickly. There is a sense, slippery as mercury, in which motion grants you access to other eras, not yours. Not the orange-eating child on the bench, but eras nonetheless. If you accelerate to a hair shy of light speed and point your car toward the heart of a distant galaxy, the kind whose light has been on the road for 9 billion years, then, in the time it takes you to grow older by a handful of months, inside your cabin, the contracted distance might carry you there. You will step out, if you somehow survive the blue-shifted storm, into a place whose light your friends back home will not see for millennia. From your perspective, you have jumped forward into their future. From theirs, you have chased down ancient light and seized its present. Who is right? Everyone. And this is the fourth truth. Time is not a king with a single road, but a forest with many paths, each path tied to the traveler who takes it. But we are being abstract, and abstraction is the enemy of audiobooks. You did not come here for clouds of might. You came for the weight of is. So let's pretend the car is no car but a ship, and the ship has a name, for all ships with real destinies have names. Call it the yesterday's window. It is sleek with heat tiles and pride, its hull built from alloys that would make blacksmiths weep. At its nose, a shield of nothingness glows, a bubble of false vacuum to part the cosmic wind. This is a fiction, but our fiction yearns for fidelity. Inside, you sit with two companions, a clock that will count your time like a drum major, and a camera that sees in wavelengths your eyes cannot, that can cradle a photon so gently it reveals its birth certificate. You aim the yesterday's window not at a mirror to spy on your former self, but toward a cluster of distant galaxies whose light began when the Earth was a poem in magma. You accelerate, the ship trembles, space contracts in your direction of travel like a mouth drawing in a breath. Your clock treads softly, seconds stretch, minutes loosen. Out the forward port, the universe sharpens, narrows, condenses. The stars arrange themselves like musicians obeying a conductor's baton. Your camera, hungry, patient, drinks down the onrush and tells you stories. This light left when dinosaurs had not yet rehearsed their exit. This light left before iron learned the trick of being a planet's core. This light left when there were no oranges to peel on summer benches. Are you seeing the past? Yes, because you were always seeing the past, but also yes in the way a mountain makes height more itself. Your near light speed motion does not rewind time, but it steers you into the path of older signals faster and with stranger angles than a slow traveler could arrange. You have not turned your ship into a time machine. You have tuned your voyage into a collector's tour of ancient light. The ship whistles with stress. Your bones shiver with G-forces that no body was born to entertain. Even in fiction, we must be honest about cost. The blue glare from ahead threatens to cook the hull with unkind radiation. There are tricks to soften it, magnetic fields to shepherd charged particles, sacrificial layers to drink the ultraviolet and die, but tricks are rent paid to reality. As the universe raises her eyebrow, you make your choice. To continue is to be frayed by the very seeing you sought. That, too, is a kind of answer, whispered in the voice of physics. Observation is not a spectator sport at these speeds. To see is to be struck. You decelerate. The cone of stars relaxes. The window of your future becomes wider, calmer. The camera sighs and files what it has caught. The clock relishes the feeling of being ordinary again. In the reliquary of your mind, you place a new truth beside the others. Speed can braid you with history, but only by ferrying you to the places where history's light is still en route. It cannot turn you into a ghost at the scene of your own life. Your yesterday is an event that happened in your frame, threaded through with your own time. The photons it birthed have flown their trajectories. You cannot pursue them and somehow stand behind them pointing back. Motion is a way to choose which stories arrive next, not a way to edit the ones that have arrived. The rumor, therefore, is not wicked but imprecise. It promises what we think we want and withholds what would truly change us. We do not need to spy on ourselves to be humbled. It is enough to sit beneath the stars and remember that every glimmer is a letter carried across a night that never ends, a letter with dates older than bones. It is enough to know that time is not a river you can race back along by paddling hard. It is a landscape, curved and complicated, where moving quickly lets you find valleys and hilltops you wouldn't otherwise. From some ridges, you can see dawn breaking on ancient towns very far away. From some valleys, you can feel night folding in early. But the house you left remains where it is, lit by the lamps you lit. If you wish to return, you walk not into yesterday, but toward the door. And you knock, and someone who is not you anymore opens it. If there is disappointment in this, if part of you had quietly hoped for a loophole, you're not wrong to feel it. But look again at that night road, at the thrum of the engine we called curiosity, at the simple and savage fact of your life hurling forward. The past is not a recording to play backward. It is a harvest already gathered. What we can do, what we are magnificently permitted to do, is drive to the edge where ancient starlight breaks like surf and listen. We can listen so closely that the hiss of the cosmic microwave background prickles our skin. We can listen so closely that the collapse of a star in a distant arm of the galaxy arrives as a grief we share. We can listen so closely that the universe grows intimate, less a spectacle and more a conversation. In that conversation, questions are not confessions of ignorance, but tokens of love. You asked if traveling at light speed lets you see the past. The universe answered with a smile and a syllabus. Learn the speed limit. Learn that clocks can disagree without lying. Learn that distance is gentle if you move bravely. Learn that light is the oldest gossip we know, faithful, tireless, and generous. And learn, too, that your own story, your own past, is sacred because it is unrepeatable. The photons that left your childhood bedroom are now somewhere else, perhaps bossing around an atom in the skin of a comet. You cannot intercept them with a chase. You cannot press your face to their shoulders and ask to be taken home. But you can do something better. You can take the rumor and polish it into wonder. You can say, I will go near light speed, if only in imagination. I will aim my vessel at the fossils of fire in the sky. I will gather what the past sends forward and make of it a lantern to carry into my future. You can learn to see as the universe sees, not backward or forward, not left or right, but outward, everywhere, all at once, recognizing that every direction is also a direction in time. The car, our thought, coasts now, and the road gives way to gravel, then to silence. The night above remains perfectly indifferent to whether we have understood or merely tried. Somewhere far behind us, a child finishes an orange and licks her fingers. Somewhere ahead, a galaxy blinks, and its light begins a journey it will not survive unchanged. We sit quietly, you and I, in the pause between questions. The rumor still whispers, but softer now, less a promise and more a poem. You listen, you breathe. The present settles around you like a cloak. And because you are human and therefore hungry, you ask, what else? What about slingshots by black holes, or the strange snapshotting of shapes at near-light speeds, or the way a fast traveler's vision bends and brightens and deceives? If I cannot watch myself yesterday, can I at least see the world in a way that feels like cheating? Are there views at high velocity that make memory irrelevant because the spectacle is so raw, so immediate, that it redefines now? There are. Oh, there are. But they belong to another chapter, where the rumor gives up its last secrets and the windows of the yesterday's window turn to mirrors, not to show you who you were, but to show you what seeing becomes when speed unwrites the map and writes a new one in blue fire. Chapter 2. Windows, Mirrors, and the Edge of Now. A rumor can be a door, but truth is a house. If Chapter 1 was the hallway dim, echoing, lined with portraits of starlight and the laws that govern it, then this chapter is where we step inside, draw the curtains, and live with the question. We will live with it not by repeating the rumor's promise, but by letting the physics breathe. We will let it color the room and contour the furniture. We will lay our palms on the old wood and feel the grain of causality running beneath everything we can say, everything we can see. You asked, if you traveled at light speed, could you see the past? In the previous chapter, we learned the first unyielding answer. If you carry mass as you do, you cannot travel at the speed of light. Full stop. Infinite energy stands like a mountain between you and that pace. But the rumor is not only about exactness. It's about impulse, about the longing to outrun one's own moment and turn to face it. So, let's pivot. If you traveled arbitrarily close to light speed, if you pressed your body against the glass of the universe's speed limit until the cold of it numbed your skin, what would you actually see? Open the blinds. The first thing you would notice is that the sky rearranges itself. This isn't poetry. It's relativity's optics, called aberration. In your slow life, the sky is a dome. At near light speed, it becomes a tunnel. Light arriving from all directions gets squeezed forward, crammed into a narrowing cone in the direction of your motion. Stars that once hung to the side glide toward your ship's nose like iron filings obeying a magnet. Behind you, the heavens are robbed and paled, their photons stretched thin into longer, invisible wavelengths. Ahead, every color is Doppler pushed up the scale, from red to blue to ultraviolet, even into X-rays and gamma. The stars don't move. Your way of receiving them does. You're now becoming a flashlight beam. This cone is not merely a spectacle, it's a warning. Photons that were kind to your eyes at rest have been hardened by your speed. The glow of a dust cloud becomes radiation that could claw your molecules apart. Interstellar hydrogen, lazy and soft in the cold, wakes as a rain of little hammers. Even the cosmic microwave background, once a frigid radio, hiss the baby breath of the universe itself, blue shifts toward brightness. To sprint is to turn the universe into weather, and the weather turns rough. You might lift a relativistic camera, the kind we dream about in labs and novels, and try to salvage the view. This camera knows how to count photons and guess their original hues, knows how to fold mathematics through its lenses like a prayer shawl. Through it, you learn another correction, the Penrose Terrell rotation. At high speeds, objects you pass don't simply squash. Their visible surfaces wrap, bend, and seem to rotate. A sphere doesn't flatten into an ellipse. It looks like a sphere still, but a sphere whose far side has been coaxed into sight because light from different points arrives at your eyes with different delays. What seems like cheating is actually time untangling itself on the canvas of your retina. You're not seeing the past so much as seeing the geometry of seeing become visible. By now, the rumor has grown quiet in the room. It's still there. Rumors are patient, but it knows it's outnumbered by phenomena with names and equations, so it changes tactics. It leans in and whispers, "All right, so you cannot watch your own yesterday by going fast. But could you go somewhere that is a different kind of yesterday? Could you find vantage points where the universe's ancient light is just now arriving and stand in that rainfall?" Yes. Without superstition, yes. This is how astronomers already live, not with rockets, but with telescopes, placing their instruments in the paths of old light. They do not outrun the present, they wait in its crosswalks. But you, traveler of speed, could do something similar with motion. You could compress distances in your direction of travel, length, contraction, and so reach regions distant nebulas, young galaxies that would be beyond the reach of slow ships in a single human life. From your cabin, the road shortens. Your personal clock, dilated by speed, refuses to age as quickly as the calendars you leave behind. To those at home, your trip takes millennia. To you, it takes months or years. When you arrive, you will stand under a sky whose signals set out long before Earth had lungs to breathe them. You will have made contact, not with your own past, but with pasts that were always on their way to someone. The distinction is everything. Still, you are human. You want pictures. You want details you can taste, not just laws you can cite. Imagine then a sequence, a set of windows in your ship labeled with the names of the ways you might try to see the past and what each window actually reveals. Window 1, the rear view mirror. You push to near C, press your face to the rear port, and hope to glimpse the street where you once lived, the hands you held, the joke that landed only after the elevator doors closed. What you see is darkness, fattened into red photons, stretched beyond your eyes' range. To fix that, you rack the camera sensitivity higher and higher until the noise in the sensor sings like summer insects, and faintly, you retrieve a low-energy drizzle from where you came. It is not your yesterday returning, it is your old ahead, continuing to reach you from behind because you moved on. The past you crave exists, but only in the sense that information from it is already gone, embedded in the trajectories of photons racing away from the places you wish to revisit. If they happen to intercept your path now, you are lucky. If not, no speed will summon them. A mirror cannot conjure reflections that never fell upon it. Window 2, the side window. You angle left and right and watch city blocks of starlight sheer toward the bow. The aberration makes a false geography of glory. Constellations twist into spears. The Milky Way's soft band becomes a headlight's glare. You are not seeing different times. You are seeing the same time squeezed into a different map. This can feel like cheating, but cheating implies dishonesty. The universe is being perfectly honest that the way things look is not a neutral phrase. It depends on how you move. Window 3. The front window. This is the dangerous one. Pointed at your future, it is a fire hose aimed at your eyes. If you've armored well, if your ship's shields can sip gamma rays without dying, you may tease the horizon for a while. You will discover what relativistic beaming means. Most of the universe's photons now arrive from a narrow angle in front. The flux increases not just because of aberration, but because your motion puts you in the way of more light per unit time. Energy piles up. Spectra tilt blue. You are seat-belted into the raw fact that your choice of velocity sculpts your reality of light. Window 4. The clock window. It has no landscape, no stars. It is a transparent panel behind which two clocks sit, one in your ship, one synchronized by arrangement with a clock in a faraway lab back home. The ship's clock seems normal, how could it not? But the lab clock, as calculated by your instruments and occasional exchange signals, ticks faster. This is the twin paradox enacted without twins. The resolution is not a trick, it's geometry. Your path through space-time is shorter in time than the one your friend stayed on, once we account for your accelerations. To move fast is to trade more space, less time for yourself. When you return, if you do, you will step out into your friend's future. From where they stand, you will seem to have leapt forward. This is a kind of time travel toward tomorrow, not yesterday, and it is as real as GPS satellite corrections and muon lifetimes in accelerators. But it gives you no privilege to look into your own past. It merely gifts you a way to arrive in someone else's later. Window 5. The black glass window. It looks outward, but it is black not because nothing is there, but because something is there that hoards futures. A black hole. You dive near the event horizon and let its warping of space-time sit heavy on your seconds. Your clock grows slow compared to the distant universe. If you hover dangerously, throttle whispering to hold station, you can watch the cosmos beyond you speed up. Stars are born and die in sprints. Galaxies drift like dandelion seeds, then collide like slow thunder. You could live a month and see the outskirts of your home galaxy age by thousands or millions of years. Is this seeing the past? No. It is seeing someone else's future while your own time burns like a short candle. The rumor is agnostic to these subtleties. The truth is not. Gravitation can slant your path through time, but it does not turn the arrow backward. The hole's horizon is not a mirror to yesterday. It is a mouth that forbids return. Window 6. The forbidden window. You tape a bold label above it. FTL, faster than light. Its handle is locked by causality's locksmith. You jiggle it anyway, daydreaming about tachyons in hyperspace, about signals that leap the light cone's walls the way a hawk clears a fence. Every time this window opens in fiction, paradox prowls in behind it. In special relativity, FTL implies windows that show you receiving messages before they were sent, opportunities to shoot your grandfather's watch before he ever buys it, or to read a letter you will never write. The universe resists such mischief with a quiet, universal veto. We can still imagine wormholes, tunnels through space-time whose mouths are elsewhere and elsewhen, but to hold one open would require negative energy exoticism that we do not know how to domesticate, and even if we could, Quantum jitters and chronology protection might slam the window shut as soon as you try to look through. A rumor hates fences. A civilization owes its sanity to them. Window 7. The horizon window. You learned in school that the universe is expanding. You were told galaxies recede from one another like raisins in rising dough. At small distances, this is an analogy. At huge ones, it becomes scripture. The farther away a galaxy is, the faster it recedes, not because it's sprinting through space, but because space between you and it is being added. Beyond a certain distance, the recession rate exceeds light speed. No law is broken because recession is geometry, not motion through a medium. The result is a cosmic event horizon, a limit to what light can ever reach you, no matter how long you wait. This window looks out toward that cliff of no ability. To see the past, you must stand in the path of light that can reach you. Much of the universe will never make your acquaintance. Your personal past, you might see, is bounded by the shape of space-time. Having toured the windows, we can sit again. The room is quieter. The rumor is still with us, but it has been rehoused, not as a promise, but as a yearning that physics replaces with something richer, more difficult, more humane. Let's be painfully practical for a minute, because audiobooks, like ships, need maintenance. Suppose an engineer hires you to consult on a see the past mission. She is serious. She wants deliverables. In your notebook you write, "We cannot reach light speed with massive vehicles. Near light speeds are theoretically attainable only with astonishing energy fusion drives, antimatter, light sails driven by gigawatt lasers or other engines still tied to budget lines marked myth at 0.99 or 0.999. Time dilation and length contraction are powerful. A trip to a galaxy 100,000 light-years away could take you centuries in the lab frame, but a few years in your frame. Radiation hazards multiply with speed. A centimeter-wide dust grain becomes a meteor. The CMB blueshifts. Interstellar hydrogen becomes a gamma spray. Shielding, magnetic deflection, forward snowplow plasma fields would be mission critical. Any seeing the past claim must be framed as intercepting older light at new locations, not rewinding our own local history. Optical systems must correct for aberration, Doppler, relativistic beaming, and Penrose-Terrell effects to reconstruct source properties. Communication home must account for relativity. Your reports arrive out of step with your experience. The press conference will either be very early or very late. The engineer taps the notebook. So, we can't watch Earth's past by going fast? You meet her eyes. We can't. But we can go where Earth's present cannot easily go, and there we can witness light that began before Earth could have witnessed anything. If you call that seeing the past, make sure you mean the universe's, not ours. She nods, and you can see a new kind of mission rising behind her face, not nostalgia, but cartography. Not voyeurism, but respect. The rumor is like a wish to see a lost friend through a crowd. By climbing a tree, you can climb. The crowd will arrange itself differently beneath you. You will see not what you saw before, but what is still there to be seen. The friend may or may not be visible. If they have walked away down a street you cannot see, your height cannot summon them back. This is the geometry of grief as well as of light. Geometry has diagrams. Let's draw one with words. Imagine a graph with time running upward and space running sideways. Your birth is a point. Lines of light burst from it at 45 degrees, racing away, carrying the possibility of your image to the world. Your life traces a line upward, perhaps angled if you travel. The set of all events that can influence you forms a cone opening upward your future light cone. The set of all events you can influence or observe forms a cone opening downward your past light cone. Every instant, the boundary of that past light cone is the catalog of the past you can, in principle, see if you are in the right place. Speed doesn't tip that cone backward. It skews which slices of it are convenient to intersect. You can move to catch different rays that left distant places long ago, but you cannot step outside your own light cone to stalk yesterday's beams from your bedroom and compel them to report. We are almost done, and endings want to be honest. So let's talk about the last tempting detour. What about mirrors? If a distant civilization had placed a gigantic perfect mirror some light years away, angled just so, could you race to that mirror and see a reflection of Earth as it was years before? In principle, yes, if the mirror existed, if it were aligned, if you could get there. This is not speed's privilege. You could also aim a telescope at the mirror from here and wait for the reflection to arrive. The mirror doesn't grant you special knowledge of your past. It delays and redirects light that was always public information. There is no hidden archive of your private yesterdays waiting for a fast traveler to crash. By now, the rumor has softened into something gentler than a claim. It's an ache, and aches don't need refutation. They need placement. Place it here, in the knowledge that the universe is a museum of ongoing revelation. Every photon is a courier. Every galaxy is a dispatch office. You can tune your life through movement, through craft, through patience, to stand where the most consequential mail arrives. You can learn to carry those letters, to understand their stamps and their postmarks, to translate their archaic hand, and you can bring them home, turn them into stories that make us kinder. To each other, to our future, to the questions we will never be finished asking. That is what your audiobook can be. Not a manual for chasing your own tail through time, but a hymn to the art of seeing honestly. If you traveled at light speed, no, you could not see your own past. You could not sprint beyond your memory and wave back at it. But if you traveled very fast, if you learned to live close to the limit without demanding that the limit surrender, you could teach us how many ways there are to move through a single second. You could testify to skies that compress and howl, to clocks that disagree and remain friends, to horizons that retreat with perfect courtesy as we approach. You could stand under a new night and tell us what it felt like to meet light that left home when home was a theory. And you, listening now, clicking and leaning forward, could do something with that testimony. You could look at the ordinary pace of your day and see the relativistic superpowers folded within it. The grace that your time is yours, that your neighbor's time is theirs, that both can be true without betrayal. You could notice that every conversation you have is already a conversation with the past. Someone else's words leaving them, crossing the small dark between you, and arriving changed by motion, by interpretation, by the narrow cone of attention you happen to be living in. You could decide to be less careless with the photons you launch from your life. One last image before we close the book. Imagine you step outside tonight. The city, if you are in one, makes its own constellations of streetlight and window. The countryside, if you are there, invents other maps, thin and exact. Somewhere a dog is uncertain about the moon. Somewhere a neighbor waters a plant and doesn't watch it grow. You look up. You know now that your gaze is a time machine, but not a vehicle. It doesn't move you. It fetches messages. You cannot command which messages arrive. You can practice being ready when they do. If you feel the old rumor stretch inside your chest, if you ache to see the past, let that ache be a reason to study, to build instruments, to vote for telescopes, to write equations carefully, to hold your breath when a new spectrum comes in. Let it be a reason to sit with your elders and ask them to tell you what they remember, because in biology, as in cosmology, old light is a gift you only get if you make a place for it to land. If one day in a century to come a ship like yesterday's window does fly, and its camera armored against the rage of speed sends back frames of a galaxy we thought we would never meet, there will be a quiet cheer in a quiet room somewhere. A technician will wipe a tear and pretend it's dust. A child will see the image and feel something in them stand up. The rumor will have evolved into a ritual, not the dream of watching ourselves again, but the rite of welcoming the oldest news. We finish then. 2 chapters, 1 question, many corridors. The short, final answer is simple enough to stitch on a pocket. Traveling at light speed is impossible for us. Traveling near it will not turn you into an eyewitness of your own past. But speed can reshape what you can reach and what can reach you. It can tilt the angles of wonder. It can put you beneath storms of ancient light and ask you to listen, not as a thief of yesterday, but as a custodian of what arrives. Close the blinds. The room returns to its ordinary morning. The rumor is outside, in the street, dissolving into other rumors, finding other ears. You keep the house keys. You know how to open the door when you need to, and where the good chair is by the window. You know how to wait for the mail. And when it comes, bright and tired from a journey you will never fully understand, you know what you will do. You will break the seal, read slowly, and carry the news carefully into whatever future you are brave enough to make.